We begin with breaking news.
The public awaits the release of video of police officers' confrontation with Tyree Nichols. Chris Wynn is live in Memphis.
Good afternoon. Emotions are running high as we anticipate the release of that video in the next couple of hours. The police chief says it will be broken down into 4 parts, all relative to the incident, and put online for the world to see.
One officer kicked him like he was kicking a football.
You're going to see acts that defy humanity.
That's how Tyree Nichols' stepfather and the Memphis police chief described the disturbing video that shows the fatal police encounter that led to the firing and arrest of 5 black police officers. The video expected to be publicly released for the first time Friday evening. 29-year-old Nichols was pulled over in a traffic stop on January 7th that ultimately led to a deadly beating. He would die 3 days later in the hospital. The Memphis police chief says they have not been able to find probable cause for the traffic stop, which the former officers involved said was for reckless driving.
We've been unable to substantiate that at this time.
5 officers have been charged with second-degree murder, along with several other charges.
I think people can draw their own conclusions, but I don't imagine there'll be a lot of perceived ambiguity.
Nichols' mother says she has not been able to bring herself to watch the video.
From what I hear, it's horrific. And the humanity of it all. Where was the humanity? They beat my son like a piñata.
But the victim's family says they want this footage seen by the public.
Hopefully from this situation that we have reform, that police get better training.
There's going to be a lot of attention on this video, and rightfully so. But Tyree's mother wants the world to know that her son had a beautiful soul who touched a lot of people. She is urging the public to keep the peace if they choose to protest tonight. Reporting live from Memphis, I'm Chris Wynn. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Chris, for that report. We got to get on to some other news of the day now.
That's right. Plans for Aloha Stadium's redevelopment and on how to market and manage tourism are both delayed here in Hawaii. Darryl Huff explains why it's putting Governor Green's cabinet in the hot seat.
The stadium and tourism plans were both upended by Governor Ige at the end of his term, and Governor Green promised to take the wheel. But that hasn't proven nearly as easy as it sounds.
We're going to take a bold move. I haven't even informed them. We're looking at the legality of it and the way we do it.
That's Governor Green's Economic Development Director telling senators he will take over the Hawaii Tourism Authority's job of choosing who will market tourism in the U.S. One senator complaining that's just what the last governor did.
Without really having good reasoning for that.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna circumvent HTA, then you better have good reason.
Senators who don't like surprises were also surprised that the other half of the plan to manage the impacts of visitors would still be up to the Tourism Authority. The director said he decided to take over the marketing contracting because HTA missed his deadlines to get it done. The HTA CEO disputed that.
No, I'm hearing it for the first time like you. Let me say that we have responded to every request Director Sariyasu has made. The term deadline is one I'm hearing for the first time today.
So they met the deadline for half the contract and they didn't meet it for the other half?
I haven't got all the information yet.
Right, so why would you take half? Again, you don't make any sense.
Okay. I thank you for that feedback.
Exasperated senators asked for information in writing and scheduled a follow-up hearing.
They turned in information, but it was not complete.
Well, that's something different.
So that's why independent review is perfectly fine.
That's why they're called drafts.
Meanwhile, contracts to build and maintain a new stadium and to develop the land around it have also been delayed, while the Green administration takes another look at the complicated public-private partnership plan, a caution the governor sounded in the State of the State.
But such a partnership will only work if the state gets a fair deal.
That we can make sure that there's an appropriate level of safeguards that protect the state of Hawaii in this long-term 30-year relationship.
The deadline for the stadium proposals is no longer this month, but more like before spring. Things are much muddier for the $40 million tourism marketing plan, which has already been delayed twice. Darryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
All right, Republican leaders are meeting in California to select the next chair of the Republican National Committee. Joining us now is our Washington correspondent, Peter Zampa. Now, Peter, what can you tell us about the vote?
Yeah, Ashley, leaders are in California this week to select who will be the next chair of the RNC. Now, the current chair is Ronna McDaniel, and she won the vote again today. So she will serve a fourth term as the head of this organization. But she didn't get maybe as many votes as she would have expected or liked. She did peel off 100 votes, more than 100 votes of the 168 voters. But that means that 50 plus votes went to Harmeet Dillon. She's a conservative lawyer from California who, among other people, said it's time for a change at the RNC because they keep either losing elections or underperforming in elections. They wanted new blood in there. Did not get the new blood, but it did send a message to Ronna McDaniel as to where folks' heads are at as they move toward that big 2024 campaign.
All right, turning to some Democrat news. Now, President Biden announced that the White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, is stepping down. What can you tell us about that, Peter?
Yeah, Ron Klain has been by the president's side for the last 2 years and many years before that. They've known each other for a long time. They're very close allies. But Ron Klain, frankly, deserves a break. I mean, this is a grueling job. He's been in the post for 2 years, as I said. That's a long time to be a chief of staff. So now it goes over to Jeff Zients, who is equally in this Obama-Biden orbit. He's been there for a long time under Obama. He helped fix the healthcare.gov fiasco. He was there for the recovery after the recession. And for President Biden, he was his head COVID czar when he came into office. He left that post last March, but now he's coming back to the White House. Maybe he's a glutton for punishment because this job is all day, all night. But it kind of like Ron Klain, he knows the president well. He knows how to manage this White House well. He knows a lot of the personnel. So a lot of folks think this will be a seamless fit when he eventually gets ingratiated next week.
All right, keeping us posted on all things politics is Hawaii News Now's Washington correspondent, Peter Zampa. Thanks, Peter.
This week, NASA paused to remember those lost in the pursuit of spaceflight. Yomish Alcindor has that story.
NASA's Day of Remembrance honors the lives lost in pursuit of space exploration. But this year also marks the 20th anniversary of the 2003 Columbia Space Shuttle disaster. As the agency looks ahead to sending astronauts to the Moon and Mars, NASA recognizes costly lessons learned along the way. Apollo 1 was supposed to be the first of several crewed flights NASA conducted in preparation for its first moon landing, but it never made it off the launch pad. On January 27, 1967, nearly a month before its planned launch, 3 crew members entered the Apollo control module for a launch countdown simulation that failed. As the crew sat inside debugging problems, an electrical fire broke out in the cockpit. As the astronauts struggled to open the hatch, the spacecraft ruptured. Roger Chaffee, Ed White, and Gus Grissom died before rescuers could get them out.
The important, immediate project for Space Administration officials will be to find out what happened. Then and only then will they be ready for the next big step, moving on toward manned flight in the Apollo spacecraft.
The tragedy ultimately uncovered major design flaws, like an abundance of flammable materials inside the spacecraft. The Apollo missions ended in 1975 after 6 successful moon landings. And in 1981, the shuttle program began to deliver crew and cargo to the International Space Station and service the Hubble telescope. Over the course of 135 missions, orbiters Columbia and Challenger suffered catastrophic accidents with the loss of all crew members. On January 28, 1986, the Challenger shuttle was set to embark on a 6-day mission. The 7-person crew included Krista McCullough, a New Hampshire teacher and the first American civilian to go to space. The launch day was unusually cold, and engineers warned that certain components were vulnerable to failure, but managers overruled them. Just before noon, Challenger took off. 73 seconds later, the space shuttle exploded. All 7 crew members died as millions watched the tragedy unfold on live TV.
The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us for the manner in which they lived their lives. We will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them.
It was later determined that the O-rings, the rubber seals that kept hot gases inside the rocket booster, had become stiff due to the cold weather and caused a fuel leak. For over 2 years, the agency stopped sending astronauts into space as it redesigned several of its shuttle features. It also made changes to its management structure to improve future decision-making. It wasn't until 2003 when the shuttle program would face another catastrophe on the Columbia spacecraft. The 7 astronauts on Columbia made it to space just fine, but during the launch, it looked like a piece of foam insulation had broken off. The mission continued despite concerns from some engineers. On February 1st, minutes before Columbia was scheduled to land, NASA lost contact with the crew.
Columbia, Houston, UHF comm check.
It turned out the foam had punctured a hole in the left wing, ultimately destroying the shuttle upon re-entry. The shuttle program was grounded until 2005, and the fuel tank was redesigned without the foam piece. Now NASA is embarking on its Artemis mission to return astronauts to the moon and eventually Mars. The agency plans to conduct regular missions to the moon to establish a base camp and use that research to inform future missions to Mars. And in the process, NASA says astronaut safety is top of mind.
Safety is our responsibility. Every day at NASA, we have an opportunity, we have a duty to carry the memories of those that we lost and carry their dreams onward and upward.
All right, and of course, Ellison Onizuka was one of those members of the Challenger crew lost from our Big Island families over there, and of course the airport named after him even there as well. All right, taking you live outside. Who was cold last night? I think a lot of people were, and there's a lot of weather changes in the works. We got to get over to Guy Hoggy with your first alert.
This is what the model is saying, that the lingering moisture from that front is going to hang around on the east end of the state. This is through this afternoon. So Kauai and Oahu still dry this afternoon, and Kauai still dry tomorrow morning. But the moisture eases up towards Oahu by tomorrow morning, and then by tomorrow evening, we'll see more of those showers. And then on Sunday, even more widespread rain. Even Kauai likely to get in on the rainfall. But you can see the heaviest rain will focus on the east end of the state. They could get some thunderstorms there, and the moisture likely to linger through Monday, although Monday evening, a slight clearing, but still lots of moisture around the state. So Tuesday afternoon, we're still going to see some scattered showers, but definitely lighter from Tuesday on. So your 7-day forecast shows breezy winds today, easing up slightly tomorrow, but still running at steady levels. Windy again on Monday. And then again, the rain starts in Saturday. Sunday are going to be especially cloudy and damp. And remember, within this time frame, we could see some thunderstorms and possibly some flooding conditions too.
All right, some big changes are right around the corner, and I'm talking just hours away. Let's bring in our Annalisa Burgos with more on what is happening tomorrow morning. Annalisa, what's up? What's happening?
Sunrise weekends, Jonathan! Oh my gosh, we are so excited. We've been talking about this for years, right? Bringing a weekend morning show to HNN, and we are finally doing it. So, and I'm so honored to be able to be the anchor for it. And we are also having Billy V, our entertainment extraordinaire, and he's going to be doing some interviews as well for the weekend morning show. That's going to be 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on K5, and then as always on our digital platforms, live streamed on HawaiiNewsNow.com. So I hope everyone will join us and just be so excited that we are going to be waking up every morning for you guys. Not just on the weekdays, but on the weekends.
Speaking of waking up, is your alarm clock set yet? What time are you going to be getting in? What time do you have to get up?
Well, you know, it's the first weekend, so I think just to be safe, we should be here like around 4:34.
Ooh.
I know, it's early.
Coffee pot ready too, hopefully.
I know, like this morning, just trying to get up and do the sign waving and promoting
I saw
the
you
show.
out there. Yeah. That was fun.
Already, I was thinking, wow, has it been about 6 or 7 months? No, it's been longer. It's been about a year since I did the morning shift. So it's trying to get back on that bike. But I love it. I love it, Jonathan. I know you do more early shift too a little bit. Not that early, though.
I did some sunrise stint. Go ahead and tell our viewers about what kind of content they can expect. I know First Alert weather is always going to be top of mind. What else are you guys looking to put into the show?
Yeah, so for sure weather, for sure traffic, although, you know, in the weekends, the traffic isn't as bad as on the weekdays. But, you know, big events happen, so that's going to be part of it. And then we're going to do some interviews on different topics. So it's going to range range from fun, like Beer Fest, which is happening on Saturday. So we're
What?
going.
I did not know about that. You're already informing me.
I'm informing you. You did not know Beer Fest is happening?
not.
Oh, it's happening over at the Bishop Museum. And that's going to be, 5 to 10. I think there's still tickets. Don't quote me on that, but, just go online. And we are going to be interviewing one of the breweries, local breweries, that makes amazing Hawaii beer. So we have to promote them because, as you know, manufacturing is a little bit difficult here on the islands with inflation and, just the higher costs of everything, raw materials. So we're going to be talking about, beer and how we can support our local manufacturers.
See, you're already helping me plan my weekend.
Yes.
So remind us one more time and place.
So, of course, 7 to 9 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday on K5, and then HawaiiNewsNow.com on all our digital platforms. We'll be streaming it live.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's good to see you.
The tech industry has seen job cuts recently, but there's still high demand for people who work in software and data. Danya Backus has more.
Sarah Curtis has a job you may have never heard of. She's a full-stack developer.
A full-stack developer is a developer who works on all layers of software.
It also means she can work on all aspects of a website or application. Companies everywhere need these skills, and full-stack developers #1 on the employment site Indeed's list of best jobs, with rankings based on salary, availability, and flexibility.
It has a very handsome salary, and just over half of the roles can be done remotely and in a flexible work environment.
Indeed's Scott Dabrowski says that #2 is data engineer with a mean salary of $135,000 a year. And #3 is cloud engineer, which offers competitive pay and flexibility. In fact, most of the positions in the top 10 are computer related.
So what this continues to show is that virtually every company today is a technology company. Every single company today does have some online presence to power their business.
It also shows jobs evolving with the changing times.
I found it very interesting that you don't see a job like physician or lawyer on this year's list. Those used to be 2 jobs years ago that a lot of people would go for.
Sarah began pursuing her career after taking a computer science class in college.
You can build something that will be used potentially by millions of people all over the world. So solving problems at that scale is really challenging, but also really interesting and a really fun space to be in.
She's finding job satisfaction holding skills in high demand as companies increasingly rely on technology to conduct business. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
What do you say we take a look at what the internet is talking about today? Other than Ashley's back in the house for one day only.
Not officially, and we'll explain why, as well as why Jonathan has some lay on.
Just a moment. That's a tease. But we got to talk about some yummy food news first. And this one, we talked about this before when the change happened, but vanilla lovers of these Frosties, listen up, they're coming back. Those vanilla Frosties back at Wendy's. Yum. I love these. Good with French fries. I gotta say, it's gonna replace the peppermint Frosty we saw over the winter. The company did a really funny press release about this, and they said this: hey guys, when the other guy's ice cream machine is McBroken, head on over to the nearest Wendy's. They're really good about those creative things. They sort of rip on their competitors a little bit on Twitter as well. This is going to join the chocolate Frosty on the menu. Available now, it says, but of course it always takes a little bit longer to get to the islands, I feel like. I'm glad they're bringing back the
for
traditional.
those of you who don't know, that's because the McFlurry machines are always broken. Every time you want a McFlurry.
Always. Yes. All right. So speaking
of
of McDonald's, we're not going to rip on them too much because they're up to some cool things.
So they're testing these strawless lids in some U.S. cities. The chain says it hopes to cut down on small plastics that can harm, of course, the wildlife and pollute the oceans. Well, the lids have an opening for drinking, covered by a pulled-back tab to prevent splashes. They're similar to those Starbucks sippy cup lids. So the redesign, of course, is part of McDonald's multi-year effort to make its restaurants more environmentally friendly.
I love this idea.
Yes, better than those, eco-friendly straws.
Yeah, that just collapse and sort of melt.
Yes.
And it reminds me that we're going to be doing a story on the balloon ban locally. That's going to come up on later editions of H&N as well. So listen for that.
Yeah, and Jonathan loves Monopoly, so he loved this
Yes, I
story,
do.
of course. There's a new twist on the game Monopoly, and it has a local twist. So Hilo's Walmart is now selling sets of Big Island Opoly. So the concept of the game is the same, but it includes local references. For example, instead of going to jail, players will get stuck in a traffic jam, and the most expensive properties, Park Place and Boardwalk, are replaced with Kona and Hilo. So the game is made by an Ohio-based company called Late for the Sky. It retails for just under $20.
Love that idea.
Yeah, I've seen some local spins on like Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah. And of course, you gave me for Christmas Catopoly.
Catopoly,
And I
yes.
played it.
Yes.
All right. Let's get to the part
I
that I'm very much dreading.
know. Ugh.
But the lay are for my last day here on This Is Now and at H&M, but I'm not going too far.
Yeah, so
That's why.
Jonathan's going to be staying with our company, but he's just moving way across the country to Florida.
Miami.
Why Florida?
And I could not be more grateful for you to come back on this last day. It really means so much. And I know you made a special video that I have not seen yet.
Yes, just some of our greatest hits.
So we'll start by playing it out.
This is Now with Ashley Nagaoka and Jonathan Sapi.
That was really our first outing, pretty much.
I pushed you on a dolphin.
Right here.
Thanks,
Yeah, yes. I remember
hair.
that.
H&N
Oh,
personalities.
the old set.
Hard news reporter worked
look
at
happy.
the Sacramento.
You look very
Bee.
happy.
Oh.
Rick Daysog.
It's Jeopardy.
But who is Rick Daysog?
Who is Rick Daysog? Oops, that's not Rick Daysog.
So we don't really have an on-the-air sign here at the digital center. So here's what I do every day. I draw my Garfield on-the-air sign. That's what we got. That's our budget right now.
We've come a long way since that set.
Yeah, come a long way.
Blonde.
Playing Password.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh!
Checked out the new Christmas bar, and our boss let us have dainty sips. Dainty sips.
Oh, it's our favorite
do dainty
time of
sips.
year. How did you get all this? This is now. Happy birthday.
Our
Happy
favorite time of
anniversary.
Happy anniversary
Yeah.
to us.
All right, every year, I don't know why,
Oh my God.
I choose to make a costume out of a box of
It's true.
sincere and talk,
It's
and I'm like,
true.
we got our costumes on.
Yes.
And I'm a pet dispenser.
Oh, John.
No, I'm gonna miss those costume days so much. It's such a fun tradition we've got to do here at This Is Now. And honestly, I'm just gonna miss you and the whole team because it's meant so much to me. As you know, like I've never really wanted an on-air gig.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a producer, storyteller. So, like for me, and I might get choked up, but this has like been a thing about making mistakes, second chances, and knowing that's where the best things come from. And one of those best things is everyone who watches and says the nice, kind words to us as well.
Yeah, the newsroom's not going to be the same without Jonathan. I mean, he's not only a visionary who has like these big, great ideas, but he can also, has a plan and an action and then executes like no one else. It's awesome. And it's been awesome to see your evolution on air too, Jonathan.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
I'm going to stick around the Gray family. That's the company that owns the station. Going to go to Investigate TV in Miami. Already turning stories for them. And it's going to be all sorts of issues. And it's going to air a brand new show right here on Hawaii News Now and all our Gray TV stations across the country in the year to come, sometime in this fall.
So you
But
can still see him.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm going to do more producing, more storytelling. But we got to talk about who's going to replace me. And I have a prop for that. You know I love props. And real quickly, I think we have time. This was a blanket that this person made years and years ago
No
as
joke.
a child.
No joke.
And when he visited the station and had this blanket made with a photo on it. Dun, dun, dun. Dylan and Chetta is your new This Is Now host.
Look
and
how little he
there's
was.
never been a bigger This Is Now fan. Look at, that's Tanya.
Tanya?
And Keahi.
Oh,
Yes.
Guy.
Oh, guys, oh, sorry, he was folded. You guys, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your lunch break. Have a wonderful afternoon. And Ashley will be back soon. A little more maternity leave.